Hi, Ronnie. Let me see it again. I think that back light the shutters need to be closed. But because I think the retina is going to close on your camera because it's so bright. Closed. But
We good to go?
But class, that was but B-U-T, not B-U-T-T. What up, class? I gotta get my coffee, my brother.
I gotta do the same thing. Do your intro.
Welcome, class. Ronnie, I got so much. Oh, I know what I wanted to talk to you about. Go ahead. Welcome, class. Let me make sure my coffee's right. Class, good morning. Good morning. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever this meets you. Or good morning, good afternoon, good night. I love that line from Me, Myself, and Irene. Ronnie, as I age, I feel naked not knowing my ancestors, man. I think about being able to call on, think about grandpa when he had that restaurant.
Yes.
What do you think about that point?
I think that it would be, you mean like how I feel about it?
Well, in general, like I hear people talk, they say, well, my great grandfather did this, and then I come from a long line of X, and then when I came to this country, we were immigrants and we did X. I would love to have a story, Ronnie. I want to know more about my family.
You know what, buddy? Me too. We come from a long line of I don't know. You know?
Yeah, we don't know. What I'm thinking, I know Grandpa was an entrepreneur, dog. He had the restaurant and he had the barbershop, right?
Well, you're talking about Grandpa Haskins.
Grandpa Haskins, yes.
Yeah, he had the restaurant and the barbershop, but I don't know much about it, man. I don't know much about it. I am a barber. If self barber because of grandpa and dad, but I don't know what Grandpa Haskins did. I know Grandpa Penn drove a tractor.
Yeah, I used to ride in the tractor with him, but when I hear people talk, man, they got these solid stories about even with Patrick Bet-David. He got these
Yeah.
solid stories, dude. And I'm like, you know what? I made it a quest to not only look back, but I don't know if you know, we have a cousin, Ryan, that owns a restaurant in Norfolk, Virginia.
I saw you on Facebook with him taking pictures. I want to go by there when I come out there.
Yeah, so that's why I called you. I'm gonna this year, brother. I'm gonna meet with him this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go ahead and bring him to this YouTube world because I was thinking about family and this whole entrepreneur spirit that lives within the Haskins family. He and his mother are entrepreneurs. He owns a restaurant, very successful. And I think eventually, Ronnie, I want to do like a food type of chef slash recipe type thing while we're broadcasting live. So we got cooking going on, and then we got business training, health and wealth.
Health and wealth. I like it. Why not? We also got a producer in the family, Stevenson, Big Steve.
Okay, yeah, that's more
music group.
You know what? The guy that owns the restaurant is the Stevenson.
Right. Yeah, they all connected, and so it's like crazy that all of these guys have their own business savvy in their own industries.
Yeah.
And I bet a lot of the stories that we have are very similar.
I know they are. I mean, it has to be. It's just the principles of business.
Right.
Principles of business. I like your topic for today, brother. Where did this come from?
Well, taking responsibility for your success, for our success. How you doing today, class? I'm Ronnie Haskins. I'm Chris's brother. I'm his older brother, even though he looks older than me. Chris is 6 years younger than me. He's my baby brother. But, taking responsibility is something that we all need to do at some point, when we're building our business. I hear feedback.
Oh, it might be me. I turned it down some.
So like just figuring out when you're out there working in your field or producing your business and things aren't working out, things aren't getting to where you think they need to be. It took me a long time to realize that I had to look in the mirror and go, hey, man, I need to take responsibility for this. Why isn't this customer feeling what I'm saying? Why are these people not interested? Maybe it's me. So I had to look in the mirror, Chris.
Gotcha. Nice. We're going to let a few more minutes, let the class show up.
All right, let me grab my coffee.
Yeah, go ahead, dog. Welcome, class. I'm going to give you a few moments, class, to get over the shock that you see me in my fresh and clean suit today. Hopefully someone will give me a thumbs up for my suit. It is amazing when I get dressed up and I go into town. People don't treat me like the rugged entrepreneur that I am usually. I'm boots and jeans and real grimy because I'm in and out of houses all day, or not all day, but throughout the day. But today, when I wear my suit, people treat me so much better. I don't think it's fair that clothing makes people treat you better, but I just want to bring that to the class. It's very weird. People, they walk all the way, they invite you in, they say, hey, how you doing, sir? But when I show up with my boots and jeans on, they don't care. Class, welcome another Ask a Haskins.
Billy.
Welcome to the Ask a Haskins / Billy. Let's go. Hey. Sorry. Good God. That's enough. Welcome to Ask a Haskins Friday. Golly, Billy. Somebody just came to the door to drop some mail off, so my dog goes crazy. Sorry. We are here once again. Please subscribe to our channel. Give us a like on the thumbs up for optimization purposes, and share this content with your friends, any other entrepreneurs that are either starting a business or in business and just want to share some philosophies. My mission, my ministry is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. Today, you get a chance to hang out with my brother. Been buying and selling cars since the 1990s and got some great philosophy to drop on us. What's up, Ronnie Haskins? Can't hear you. You in trouble. Hit that button. There's a button on your mic or something. Yes, I hit. Something is. I hear stuff going. Clap, 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 clap. It was just working, brother. Welcome, Britt Bratt. Good morning, my Roundup family. What's up? Yeah, I guess Ken, you're right. Sometimes you got to dress for success. I don't know though, guys. I know that are multi successful. You would never be able to tell. Ronnie, are you there, my brother? You in trouble. All right, so we'll keep moving, rocking and rolling while my brother gets his. Oh, the enemy is on us today, Ronnie.
You can't hear me.
I hear you a very little bit.
Hold on. How about now? Can you hear me now?
I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, great.
You there, bro?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Gotcha. How you doing?
I'm fantastic, man. I'm glad to talk about taking responsibility today. Class, thanks for being with us today. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties. We're working it out.
It happens. Well, let's go right into our topic, Ronnie, taking responsibility. What is this? How does that affect what you're doing regarding that microphone? And tell me about a little bit about the technology and all that stuff. Taking responsibility.
Taking responsibility, guys. So I think that when I thought about this topic, Chris, it was about trying to help people change their mindset, right? Like you're trying to build something, you're trying to grow something, you're trying to do something. Maybe it's just you're trying to go to the gym because it's January 1st and you're starting to work out again. You have a lot of people that are like, this isn't going to work, or you're not going to make it. We can't get it done. You know, there's always going to be negative energy out there to stop you from getting what you're trying to achieve done. And so in order to actually be successful, you have to own it. You have to take responsibility of your own success. You have to tell yourself every day that you're going to go get it done. And quite frankly, you know, we'll talk about the stories a little bit later, but it just doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what you think.
Good point. Good point. Tony Robbins we were talking about that earlier, talking about priming. He said your environment will determine your ideas. But tell me about the conversation that goes on in your head, Ronnie, every day when you wake up about how that day is going to go and how you think about attacking that day. Because I know for myself, but I want to know what's going on in your head about I will do this today, or this is what I'm in charge of today.
It's so crazy you mentioned that. It's like I have to, like, when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm visualizing, you know, I got an appointment at 9. I've got an appointment at noon. I've got a client coming in at 3. I've got these things in my mind. And if when I'm brushing my teeth and getting ready, I'm already visualizing like it's going to be a great day. Guys, I got a lot of myself. I mean, don't get it twisted. We are not sitting here telling you that you can just speak it and it will exist. I mean, there's some truth to that. But I just basically tell myself it's going to be fantastic. The first appointment is going to go exactly like I think it's going to go. This is what I have in mind and what I'm going to say. And I own it. And so when I sit down to have that appointment, I already have visualized how it's going to be, you know, so it doesn't really matter, you know. That make any sense?
Yeah, you win either way. Well, I was asking that because I have to tell myself every day that I am a real estate investor, right? Every day. It's like no one's like, even with people that have mortgages, right? I don't know about your mortgage. Say, for instance, like the mortgage company will escrow your taxes and insurance.
Right.
They don't do that shit for me because there is no mortgage company. So I was talking to a client. He's like, man, what are you doing? I'm like, I got to pay my insurance on my houses.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, wow. Like, he didn't even understand the concept that we have to be responsible for keeping insurance on the house because ain't no mortgage company that's going to hold you responsible for doing that.
Right.
I guess with that, I was asking you, like, do you have to remind yourself, like, I'm an entrepreneur and I have to make it work today?
I have to do that every day. You know, like I seriously get up and say, it's going to be a great day. It's going to be fantastic. I'm going to go get it done. I can't tell you that I'm that motivated about it every day because I'm not. Some days I'm like, I don't care about today. But I think what I'm trying to tell people is the world will beat you up and teach you, and the world will challenge you to see how much you want it. The world will find a way to knock your dream back down into your back pocket and keep it a dream until you own it, until you take responsibility for it. And you're like, I'm going to get this done.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I'm saying, Chris.
Yeah, you're right. It will beat you up. I guess we are going to be sharing when we finally accepted the fact that no one cares. You were saying something earlier about telling somebody, I got this new thing, I got this new hot thing idea.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
They care. You know, what they like to see is train wrecks. They like to see people, you know, you go look at the highest watch YouTube videos. It's like somebody falling off a cliff or car on fire. People will show up if you got, hey, today, guys, I'm gonna tell you about how I dramatically failed and I'm filing bankruptcy at 5 o'clock today. We get like 30 million viewers. You know, the world wants to see that, guys. And so if you're sitting there thinking about being a real estate investor or thinking about being the best realtor, you know, and you're thinking everybody's going to be excited to see me win, I'm like, they're not. They don't care. But that's not the magic. The magic is you shouldn't care what they think. You shouldn't care about that because they're always going to think, man, I can't wait to see Chris. His microphone's not working this morning. You know?
That is true. They want to, well, you know, it's just human instinct. You know, even for me, I want to be honest. When I see somebody winning, I'm like, I wish that was me. But yeah, I find the beauty is being happy for the other person also.
Yeah, that's a whole nother video. But, you know, when you're trying to basically just take responsibility for your own success, you have to first understand that nobody cares about it like you do. You're going to have your mother that supports you, your family, they're going to support you. But, you know, you have to show them, the best way to show them about your success and about owning your own success is by getting it done.
Getting it done. Getting it done. Yeah. It doesn't even matter. You don't, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you, prove. It's all about for yourself, I would say. Yeah. When did you come to that realization, Ronnie? I know for me, go ahead.
I think for me, it was probably in maybe 2001, 17 years ago, when I'm out in the streets, Chris. I'm in the streets every day, and I'm trying to talk to people about what I do. And I'm literally like, you know, we talk about being in the streets, right? Like being out there knocking on doors. And I was literally doing that every day, sun up to sundown. And it struck me way back then that, wow, nobody cares.
Nobody's out here either.
No. So I think 2001 is when I realized I had to own it myself. I had to find a way to believe in it myself.
How about regarding taking responsibility for your finances and planning for your retirement and wealth building and wealth creation too? Because you don't have it for, no one's going to issue you a TSP, a thrift savings plan, or an IRA or 401k. Tell me about when you came to that realization.
That was probably 10 years later. Like, so maybe like 07. Maybe 6 years later, 07 is when I started. I'll give you a good example, dude. So like, we took my son to this daycare when he was 2. And the lady was like, I've got this program for potty training. It's going to be amazing. He's going to be peer pressured into it. It's going to be off the chain. I've got a system. He's almost ready. And I was like, okay, great. So I stopped worrying about it so much. That first day we turned him in for potty training. She's like, today's the day. That evening, she's like, I can't do it. That's not working for Jude. I can't do it. I was like, what happened? And so at that point in time, I realized, oh my goodness, this is my responsibility. I wanted to put that risk and all of that on her, but I had to realize that, look, man, this is my responsibility. I have to own this. And of course, he got potty trained, and it worked out. It took a long time. I didn't just snap my fingers, but you know, taking responsibility for it was a big deal.
Wow, yeah. So you're doing what you can do to make it work also.
Yeah, man. Tell me about the story about you when you realized that, you know, even though Mom and I were cheering you on and we were like, I mean, for years, we were like, the only thing we could say about you was, I hope he's paying his taxes. But like, okay, so how and when did you realize that even your family was not going to see your dream the way you saw it, and that didn't matter? It's not like you're against us or we're against you, but you realize, I got to take responsibility for this. I've got to take responsibility for my own success, no matter what anybody is saying.
It's a rough one, man. There is a. I hear a little bit. It's some philosophy that I think every entrepreneur has to come to the brutal realization that everything is my fault. You know, it took me a while to get to that, but I remember back in 2001 when I got fired for the last time. I'm like, you know what? No one really cares about my success. I'm doing well in life. Well, at the time when I got fired, I was doing very well, better than my boss, which is why they fired me.
You got fired because you were doing better than your boss?
Yeah, I was this audio engineer. When I was running doing shows on the side, rolling with Drew Hill at the time, and I can't even remember the people, SWB doing shows. So I'm doing shows on the side, right? Running my sound company and going back to work, ironically, at the school at Hampton University. And my boss did not like I was getting all that burn.
Wow.
So yeah, he's like, you know what, Chris, today's your last day. You know. So anyway, it happens.
Right.
But that time I'm like, dude, I did everything right. I did exactly what you told me to do. I did it better than what you would have done it. You know, I mean, I served. They cut me at the neck. So at that time, I'm like, you know what, man? I think that at the end of the day, I have to be responsible for everything that happens, you know, good or bad. And the big challenge is when you're an employee, sometimes being responsible gets you terminated.
That's a good possibility. I mean, like, just, I think that we tend to want to look at outside sources when we're not successful.
Yeah.
When we are failing or losing money, or, you know, like, for instance, it's easy for you to say, hey, man, I got a tax problem right now, and maybe I should fire my accountant. You know, there's all these different things that you could point at.
Or the market. Market's
or
bad.
the market. You could point at a lot of things, but what you have written on your wall there is magical, because no matter what, at the end of the day, you are ultimately responsible for it. And so the sooner you wrap your mind around that, class, that you are responsible, it's not a bad thing. It's a blanket. You just hold that blanket on you and you're like, I'm responsible for this. Your decision-making becomes a lot easier because you understand that you don't have to blame anybody for it.
Yeah, you don't have to blame anybody. It's easy. You sleep better at night.
You do, and the people around you feel more positive about you. So as you're building your team and they realize you're willing to take it on the chin, and what do we learn from this and how do we move forward, your team will grow even better because you're taking more responsibility for it yourself.
Good point. I think they love it. Yeah, man. I think that's an excellent point, because when you come around, they know you're not out there pointing fingers, trying to pass the blame. I'm like, listen, is there a problem? I'm here to solve. I'm a problem solver, right?
You become more focused on solutions than the problems. The problems don't change, guys. They stay the same. There's not enough money in the bank account. Okay? That problem, because we're talking about it and focusing on it, is not going to change today. But what we can focus on is the solutions. I know this is my responsibility, so what do we need to do? What we didn't do last week, we need to knock on more doors. I need to send out more letters. I need to go and ask somebody if I can buy their house. I need to get that done.
Consider. We call it considering houses. How many houses did you consider today?
Correct.
It doesn't have to be you. In my industry, it doesn't have to be you. It could be an leverage. Somebody works with you or for you. They can look at the houses for you.
Yeah. I think that what I want the class to take away from this is become a person who can think bigger than just the problem, because the problems are always going to be there. And I tell you what, guys, if you think about this, you can easily find somebody at the bar to talk to you about your problems. To Misery loves that company, and you could talk about it all day long. Very few people focus on the solutions.
Yeah.
You know, problem is what it is. And let's move on. I mean, Chris, when did you realize that every day, like, something bad is going to happen? Like, in my world, it's like, oh, the title work's messed up. Of course. Okay, so how do we fix it? You know, it's like, you know, I remember a long time ago, I'd get upset. I'd get irritated. I want to blame somebody. I want to call somebody and be like, hey, why is this messed up? It doesn't matter. We still need to solve it.
It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. And when things break, I think thinking that it's relevant is what holds us back, because we're looking for a crush to eat up that time, complain, okay, well, why this happened? Why that? Like, listen, it doesn't even matter. You know, let's just get right to the problem so we can just solve it. My boy calls it the root cause. I think you got a lot of that from the military too, right?
Yeah, man, we didn't really have, you know, you're absolutely right. You know, like, we had to, the vehicle came in broken, and we could talk about what made it happen, who broke it, whatever. We have to deliver bullets to the front line in Iraq. So what are we doing to fix it, guys? You know, so, and you know, think about the Army, man, unlimited budget. So it was never, the budget never came up. It was never in the conversation about, I mean, not once did we ever decide we shouldn't spend this much money to fix this truck. It was always, what is the solution? Is this the right solution? Let's execute. So yeah, I think I did get a lot of that from the military.
Nice, nice. On my end, I'm having a music background at the end of the day. I wish I had YouTube around back when I was recording. I would go to work at 10 in the morning, Ronnie, and probably get done around 2
In the morning.
that night. Yeah. The following morning, we work 12, 14-hour days recording. You don't know when you listen to a song on the radio, you don't know what time they did it. Sometimes we're recording vocals at 4, 5, 6 in the morning. You don't know when they're recording this stuff. And it doesn't matter. That people want to know wherever they are in that office, is the song done?
Right. Exactly.
Is the song done? Call me when it's done. So
how can you apply this on a daily basis, class? How can you do it? Like, think about something that happened to you today. It could be like, for me, it could be like, you know what? I got out of bed. You look at your kid. And your kid has not, he's on his iPad again and he's not doing this. It's easy to blame the kid. It's more difficult for me to take responsibility for it and go, hey, I didn't lay this out properly for you to be successful. I didn't give you all the tools you needed to be successful. And so we keep failing, so think about how you can apply it to small things in your life, and then a bigger thing and a bigger thing and a bigger thing. And then your thinking just changes,
That goes to my next line here, Ronnie. When I had this statement here, what can I do? What does that mean to you?
What it means to me is, what can I do? Like me, the way I take the way you wrote that down, it's like, what can I do? What can I do to solve the problem? I'm glad you didn't write down what is the problem, because it doesn't matter what the problem is. What matters is, what can I do about it? I used to have this thing, worry about it's not my, I didn't coin this phrase, but like, worry about the things, don't worry about the things that you cannot change. Just don't even bother worrying about it, because you can't change them. So, but focus on the things that you can change. So those things will lead you to the successes in your life, in your relationships, and your businesses.
Yeah, even I want to say taking responsibility, because we're more on the business side. I think it really helps with the business when you don't pass stuff on. You try to pass it on, because shit may or may not ever even get done if you pass it on to somebody else. That, obviously I'm not talking about delegating. I'm referring to problems here. Taking responsibility, even for contracting, Ronnie. What's so big in my industry, and I'm sure for my family members here, contractor issues. Oh my God. Contractor issues. And the problem is, we hired them.
That's the problem. That is the problem. You know what I'm saying? We can talk about the contractor all day long, but it's like, okay, like if you're in the Pittsburgh Steelers locker room and they're like, we are not going to the playoffs, guys, and the coach is pointing fingers and whatnot, the owner is like, you made all these decisions.
Yep.
The buck stops with you. You
coach.
Yep.
That's right. So I think I wanted to just say, I think this is a big hurdle to get over, Ronnie. I think you're going to have a little bit of bumps to get this one. What do you think? I don't think this is something that you just wake up and say, you know what? Everything's my fault.
I spent years talking about my problems. I spent years talking about them, man. Like years. Like a customer leaves the office and I talk about it for 5 hours. I'm like, he didn't understand. And I can't believe he didn't really get what I was saying. How dare him waste my time? It's like, but when that light bulb went off a long time ago, I'll tell you what happened to me. I was in the dealership and I had this customer with me for 4 hours, and Lewis was my boss. The customer left, right? And I was like, yeah, man, he ain't ready. And my boss looked at me and he said, so you lost another customer? I'm like, that dude ain't ready to buy. He goes, he just hasn't ran into a salesman yet. And I was like, I know. I was like, oh, that's really cold. But, he was trying to tell me, that customer needs more information. He needs more rapport. What can you do? Like you wrote up there, what can I do? You can build more rapport. You can go find a way to help somebody. And if you're knocking on doors, guys, let's talk about practical application. If you're knocking on doors of houses and nobody's answering the door, nobody's doing anything, maybe it's time to change your approach. Instead of talking about how they never answer the door, maybe it's time to say, hey, I brought you guys some chocolates. I just want to give you an offer on your house. You know,
Wow. I like
maybe
that
there's
one.
a different approach to it. You have to look internally in order to project this stuff out to the world.
Nice.
Just knocking on another door and expecting them, to have a different response. Definition of insanity. Not going to happen.
You're right. It won't happen. That's crazy. All right. What else you got?
So you shared with us that you were at the studio. So what do you do on a daily application to take responsibility for stuff?
Everything.
Like I know everything, but like give us an example. Like what can you think of
Okay.
right now?
No. I was thinking like my wife is like, why do you always take responsibility? I'm like, she hates it, because stuff goes wrong. I'm trying to think of something that actually, I mean, it's so much, Ronnie. It's almost like it's just a blur. Like we know the problems are coming, and you just solve them and you go.
Right, right.
Stuff happens when it may happen to my wife, and she'll be like, "Why are you making sure that this happens? Why are you taking responsibility for that?" I'm like, "Because if I take responsibility, then it's over. It stops, and we get to move forward. You know what's going on? Let me tell you what's going on with me. I have a buyer. Renovated a house, put a second story on it, and now the buyer has actually has not closed. We were supposed to close December 7th. It's January 4th today. They got two
Wow.
extensions. Huh?
I said, wow. That's a month
They got two
late.
extensions. Yeah, so I'm not even gonna tell you how much money I got out, a lot of money out. I'm waiting, and I'm like, I haven't even thought about this closing because at the end of the day, it was my decision to one, accept the offer with the out of state punk booty lender that I knew this was gonna happen. Whenever somebody has an out of state lender, always a problem.
Yeah.
My wife was like, "Why do you keep letting these people?" I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, I agreed to the offer. I knew it was out of state lender. Done. I don't got to talk about it no more. It's over. I knew this. So now we're a month after closing. Hopefully, we'll close next week. But I still don't even know. But you see my demeanor. I used to get, oh my gosh.
It's funny you say that, Chris. It was interesting. So share with the class though, that was an educated decision from years of experience.
Oh,
You're in your mind, I can already put the pieces together. You're like, I had out of state lender. It's gonna be drama, but I'm gonna make sure I'm making this much profit, or I'm not gonna do the deal. Did that ever come up?
well, the profit is one thing, but we always look about capital preservation, and we just want to get the money back so we can move on. The profit is one thing, but they could drag me out, 2 months, and I'd have more interest to pay on the money. But it's more over of Christmas time, December, January. Not a lot of buyers out here looking to buy houses, so I'm like, you know what? Let's just move on and move to the next house. That's
Okay,
all.
cool.
Yeah, but it was a personal decision. You're absolutely right. Weigh out the options. I could say no to the offer, right?
Yep.
Wait till another buyer comes around in March, April, maybe. Or then another buyer could have came around right after that one, but I don't know. A known, as you know, in real estate, I'm sorry, in any business, a known so much better than an unknown.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I take full responsibility for that punk booty out of state lender killing me.
So, class, what kind of questions do you guys have today about taking responsibility or how to do it? If you have questions, put the city and state you're from and put them in the chat box. We're going to go through them here in a second. I see there's some in the chat box, but like, are you struggling with taking responsibility for anything? Where do you need help? Because we'd like to offer you that type of support and help so that you can too choose to make these decisions for your own business and your own life.
You know what, Ronnie? We're gonna bring it next week. We're gonna have I got a phone line dedicated to take calls. I saw we can take phone calls and have people live too, so they don't have to actually come on the screen.
Right on.
Luxury car store, yeah, talking about being judged for the way you look. A lot of people would be uncomfortable if their financial advisor was tattooed. That's true too.
That is true. Unfortunately, reality, like Chris, I had a guy one time, I had a trade-in sitting outside, and he sat down at my desk and he goes, "Are you driving that car?" And I was like, "That's a trade-in." He goes, "If you were driving that car, I'm not doing business with you." And so
Wow.
like, it's like, I'm not really big into flashy stuff, but like perception is each individual's reality.
That's right. That's right. Texas Twin says, He works for a hedge fund manager, real estate hedge fund. Wow. He said the owners wear flip flops to work. That's the guys that I'm usually hanging out with.
Yeah. Owners of a hedge fund,
Yeah.
flip flops is totally fine.
Jordan wants to know, Ronnie, what are the steps to leasing a car through your business? Also, can you write off the lease payments?
Okay, so thanks for that question, Jordan Dunn. Yes, we could definitely talk offline about leasing a car through my company and see how we could help you out. But the first thing I would tell you is to talk to your accountant about the tax write-off, because it's an individual situation. So you would want your accountant to tell you, yes, if you lease a vehicle, you can write off 90% of the payment or whatever. It's not just a straight line thing for everybody. It's not like a one shoe fits all. So definitely give me a call. I'll put my information in here.
That's what
In the
we're gonna
chat
do
box.
next week, Ronnie. We're gonna take calls like that. I think that I don't want to do any more offline, man. We're not anymore, but I think that's the value. I think it would be nice to hear his story. I think it relates to a lot of people, even me.
It would be. It's. I just think that to elaborate on that a little bit. I don't like taking responsibility for your tax burden. So like I never want to tell somebody I know exactly what you can write off on your lease, because
Yeah,
it's just lying to you. It's like I don't know. I
yeah,
really don't know your tax situation. If you got a K1, a Schedule C, if you got other things that you're using your car for, so
yeah.
you want to make sure you get a professional to tell you, yeah, you can write off 90% of your lease.
Well, I know for me, that's Jordan, right? Jordan, for me, I get to write off 90% of mine. That's my accountant tells me that because I use it for
Even my
90%.
brother asked me that. He asked me, Chris, you asked me that. And I was like, I'm not going to tell you. I'm like, call your accountant. And then the next day, Chris told me, he goes, I talked to my accountant, I can write off 90%. I'm like, fine with me. I'm not going to be responsible for your tax burden. It's
Yeah,
just
but
too
and
difficult.
that's me though. And he might have a different tax
Correct.
situation, right?
Exactly. You just never know. Everybody's burden is different.
Nora, hey, good morning. Rosanna's back. Hey, I think when Happy New Year, yes. Okay, Deborah's buying a house tomorrow. Praise God. Offer to buy a single family contract for deed. Okay, you're getting owner financing. The owner is not behind, but the mortgage payments are just tired landlord. Good for you, Deborah. Let me know about that. Maybe we'll bring you on here. Lease a car to my business. Yeah, Jordan, you're going to do a lease on your business. Okay, Ronnie, no questions for today. Any final thoughts you got for our class today for taking responsibility, my brother?
Yeah, man. I think that the world is just tough, guys. And the sooner you learn to focus on the solutions instead of the problems and being responsible for everything and every aspect of your real estate business or any type of business that you're running, then your life just gets a little bit easier. You learn to look for it. Like think about Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful. He always says poo-poo happens. It happens every day. And so the sooner you can get used to it happening and learn to deal with the solutions, the easier life becomes.
You're right. I think, Ronnie, do you wake up contemplating that things will happen?
No, so that's a great point, Chris. I'm glad you said that. So no, you don't want to put that out in the universe. You don't want to be like, oh man, I'm going to work today. Let me get ready for 40,000 problems. No, you don't want to do that.
Okay.
You want to condition your mind to be able to focus on the solutions when they arise. You want to visualize everything working out fine. You want to visualize yourself at the closing table, writing a check for a house, buying a car the way you want to buy it. You want to visualize the where you want to be. That's another video, Chris. That's a completely different video.
Talk about the visualization as you're going to work, or while you're in the working parts or the moving parts of the business.
I'm a big believer in manifestation. So like you can manifest negative energy. Like if you get ready to lift some weights, I can't do it. I know I can't do it. I'm not going to be able to do it. And you try to do it, odds are you're not going to lift that weight. So you don't want to manifest problems, but you want to visualize everything working out, but you want to condition yourself to, when they arise, be happy about it. Like, for instance, Chris, once again, we're talking about stuff we learned a long time ago. Another thing that happened at that dealership, customers would call back. They would have an issue. I got a tire problem. I got an engine problem, whatever. And a lot of salespeople look at it like, oh my goodness, I need to hide. I already made my money. I need to hide. I was trained and taught that was my time to shine. So when you called in and you're like, hey, Ronnie, I got an issue. I'm like, hey, Mr. Johnson, I'm sorry you got an issue. Let's see how we get this fixed for you. Let's see if it's our problem, your problem, whatever. Let's talk about it. And so once you condition yourself to that, I'm telling you, man, things work a lot easier.
Check it out. What do you think about, I'm going to let you go too. I got some feedback on your side.
I'm sorry.
What do you think about, there's something that I don't want to say I created it, but I feel like I spearheaded the creation of something I call deal insurance.
I've heard you say that. Yeah.
Deal insurance class. I'm honored to be one of the first people I would presume using it in the industry. But what's weird, Ronnie, when I went to the courthouse maybe 2 years ago, Ronnie, I saw a guy there using my documents, and he sees me. He's like, "Man, I saw you. I saw these documents. You're the one I learned how to use these documents from."
Really?
So, deal insurance, Ronnie. I want to ask you about Murphy's Law in real estate. A big law that Murphy likes to show up in my business is sellers sign contracts to sell me their house, and then they change their mind.
Yeah. You know, buyer's remorse or whatever. Yeah, that happens.
Seller's remorse, yeah, on my side. So I call that Murphy's Law. So I created this. It happened to me. I remember I was in Colorado. I don't know if you remember, dude. The first time it happened to me, I was in your townhouse. The guy was trying to back out of a deal, and I was on the phone with him. Do you remember that?
That was a long time ago. You mean like back in 2001?
2002, 2003. Anyway, so I got sick and tired of buyers backing out, right? They're like, you know what? I know I agreed to sell you my house for $50,000, but I got a better offer for $60,000, whatever. So I created this deal insurance where we could file it at the courthouse because I got tired of that. I'm like, what can I do to make sure these blanky blank sellers stop backing out of my daggone contracts? So is that something, let me ask you, does Murphy's Law show up in your business? Like, I know without a shadow of a doubt, if you sign a contract with me, there's no way you can get out unless we have to release you out of it. Do you have certain things where you know Murphy's Law could show up and where you have to take responsibility before you go into a transaction?
I don't have deal insurance. I take all of the risk with my clients.
Wow.
So, you know, and I'm totally fine with it. I get paid for my performance. So I have you sign a contract with me. You give me a $250 security deposit, and then I go use my money and buy your car, inspect your car, ship your car. I do everything. And Chris, quite frankly, many years ago, I realized, you know, I could force you. I could do all of these things. I can make you do it, but it's not going to create a lifelong customer out of you, and it's not really going to do anything but create bad publicity for me. So
I got you.
If I have customers that go sideways, and they do, it happens, I let them go, and I never have kept a deposit. I just send them.
Well, not only with that part of the transaction, I'm talking about A to Z, from auction problems, from inspection issues, from whatever in a transaction. You know,
I have deal insurance there, buddy. I have deal insurance there. Now I have what's called Deal Shield. Like if I buy a car in Florida, I get Deal Shield with that car. Deal Shield. So it gets here. I don't like the way it smells. I just click a button. They come get the car. I get all my money back. So only certain cars qualify. So yeah, to answer that question, yeah, I've got those types of, I always have those types of checks and balances in my business. So if I buy the car and it doesn't meet my satisfaction, I can go back and say, hey, look, this isn't working out. I need my money back.
Is that another expense? And is that something new?
It's another expense. It's relatively new. It's been around five years or so, but there is another expense to it, but it's insurance. I mean, it's worth it. It's like $150 a car. It's really not that big of a deal.
So we're getting back here, class. I wanted to know, I have no idea how my brother's business works. I know how real estate works, but he's taking responsibility, buying the car with his money. That is your deal insurance. I mean, if the car is bad, you can send it back. So you can literally, here's my bullets, dude. The bullets don't change. You took responsibility, you got the deal insurance. Everything's your fault because you bought the car. Personally, you bought it, right?
Correct.
What can I do? Take responsibility and get that insurance in place in case it's all screwed up.
You know what? I think it's funny, man. Dealers don't spend the money on that quite often. They're like, I don't need it. I'm like, you're gonna step over $5 to pick up $1. you know, they're afraid to lose $150. I'm like, no. I mean, I've purchased cars that came here from out of state, and then they had issues that I didn't know about. And I could execute that deal shield and get it out of here.
I like that. Yeah, that's what I want. Well, I wanted to know, how do you deflect Murphy's law, my brother? Basically, I know how we do it in the real estate game, but I'm like, I don't know how you would do it in the car business. And you just answered that.
Okay.
Nice. All right. Jordan had one other question for subject to insurance. It depends, Jordan. If you got insurance, you're going to add yourself as an additional insured, depending on how much equity is there. But I can't, once again, just like my brother, Jordan, real estate is property specific. The good thing about real estate is it is unduplicatable. There's only there's only one 456 Easy Street in every city in America. You know, you can't have more than one house on the same plot. So I'll have to look at the financing, look at how much meat you got on the bone, and look at a whole bunch of stuff before I can determine that. But Jordan, good question. You can email me if you want a question on that. I'll put my email address here.
It looks like Jordan Dunn wants me to hit him up on IG. I'll hit him up later.
All right. He seems like he's on ball. Okay, are we done?
I think so, man. What else you got on the plate for today?
Today, I'm going out there to my cousin's restaurant. I'm making this work. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to do implement cooking, health, and wealth into my environment. Like when I'm coaching and training, I really think that for me, Ronnie, I feel like I'm limited in the kitchen. And I've been studying about how wealthy people really take care of what they put in their bodies. And I need to understand how to put foods together that taste good. You know, so I'm like, let me figure this thing out. So I'm gonna go see him.
Go live? Are you going live with that?
Not today. No, he's too busy today. But I'm just gonna go meet with him, and I want to identify different profit centers in the business and see how we can possibly. I know the guy has a ton of different wing sauces and stuff. I want to try them out, see what they taste like, and just kind of get to know them a little bit better.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah. How about you?
Let's see. I have a client at 12:30. I got a new hire. I'm about to hire 2 more people.
How are you using this in your hiring scheme, brother?
Oh, that is all about the hiring scheme. Every hire I make is my responsibility, and how I grow from each experience with each new employee. So the latest 2 that'll probably be starting next week will be better than the ones before, because I have taken everything I've learned before, and we can't just blame employees or anybody. I've got to take responsibility for it.
You can't get mad at them for being them, can you?
No, but I can challenge myself to ask them tougher questions, to have higher expectations, to lay out different goals for them to achieve. So I'm down with that.
Yeah, I can't wait to get that on video. I can't wait to share your hiring process with the class. Are we going to do some of that stuff?
Yeah, I would be the rookie to do it with, but that's fine.
I mean, what's crazy is we get to document it now, and then 10 years from now, you're going to be like, man, I fired him the next day.
My answer is yes, I'll do it. I mean, I'm ready to put everything out there just real. I don't want to package something up and be like, hey, class, this is exactly how it is. It's like, nah, man, it's always a mess. It's always, but actually that you do something is more important than it being perfect.
Due to the journey, it's not a straight line. It's crazy.
Right.
The Custom Money had a deal for Ronnie. She wants to know, he or she, I don't know, Custom. Where you at, dog? Did you struggle with complications of the scarcity mentality, Ronnie, when you started? Find a lot of their friends are coming from childhood of lack.
Scarcity mentality. Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think if I'm hearing you correctly, like you just can't even visualize how you could do better or make more money.
Scarcity mentality, more like there's not enough out there for me. Everybody's all of the money is flowing where it's gonna go, and that's it. There's no room for me to fit in and make.
Man, I think that's real.
Yeah, man.
But I think that it's still just perceived. So, you have to figure out a way to push through every day and get something done, because there's people out there doing it. There's barbers. Remember Chopper Chris?
Oh my Lord. Yeah.
Like, he's basically took over Lynchburg, Virginia, like owns a lot of the property there and everything, because he never succumbed to the scarcity mentality. He never said, okay, that's the way. And that's partly what we're talking about, guys. I'm glad she said that, Because think about this. I said, take responsibility for your own success, right? So you could use a scarcity mentality and be like, well, there's not enough out there. There's always going to be people that say there's not enough out there. There's always going to be these people that are saying you're not going to make it. That's never going to change. But what you can focus on is how you're going to go out every day and make sure you're doing what it takes to be successful. You have to own that.
Well, even with you, Ronnie, I can imagine you get up and you just, when she's talking about, that's a big one for me too. I'm like I had a lack mentality for a long time, even in the music industry. You know, you got this, for instance, Beyonce's album coming out. There's only room for the one first single.
Right.
There ain't no more. It comes out as it. You know, you either get the second single or the third, or you just got a song placement on the album.
Right.
The music industry keeps us all in a box. Keeps us all in a box, and everybody's fighting for that one single, that next big hit. The scarcity, because there's only so many Beyoncés in the world, right? There's only, it's only one. It took me a while to get over that scarcity mentality. Ronnie, when you wake up, you know deals are gonna come. I mean, it's just going to happen.
Yes, I agree with that. Because I think that way, though. You know, I don't think they just happen.
How did you get there? How did you get there?
I took responsibility for it a long time ago, and so I put the work in. You know, like I continue to work every day to improve everything I do. I still do not think I'm even close to where I want to be. And so every day I work a little bit harder, a little bit smarter, or make a move that will help improve my system so that as I grow and time goes on, the deals come easier. They just become more and more frequent than they were in the past.
Yeah. Gotcha.
You know?
All right. I think we're done, Rosanna. Yeah, finding trustworthy mentor is hard too. Did you have a mentor, Ronnie?
I've had many mentors. You know, I probably I have one now, but like, yeah, I think everybody should have a mentor in some way. You can do it both ways. You can just find somebody to video conference with you and you mentor them on one aspect of their life and they mentor you on one aspect of your life. It's just a different opinion. It doesn't have to be Bill Gates. It just has to be somebody that doesn't share the same thought process as you and looks at you subjectively and helps you understand it a little bit differently than you, challenges your thinking.
Hey, Williams. Last question, Ryan. We're going. What do you think about this whole push button society and the mentality that is flashed in front of us every day that you can be an instant millionaire going online, clicking a button, and people are just going to come in and funnel and just give you money? Like the Facebook guy and overnight success people that list overnight. But what do you think about that? People comparing themselves to that. I've listened to a lot of podcasts. People are like, you know what? It's happening for everybody but me. I
didn't even play in the $1 billion lottery recently. I didn't even buy a ticket because
I love that.
Number one, I can't handle having $1 billion. I just tomorrow I got $1 billion. That just means I'd be live 24 hours a day with you in the plane flying all over the place on the news all the time. You know, it's just not going to be good for anybody. So what I have to say about that is that's the exception, not the rule. Okay. So like, you know, you're going to have those stories. You know, this guy did one video. It had 1 million views. He's now a millionaire. That's going to happen.
It can happen. That's my point. But I think
there's been one Michael Jordan. I'm a big Michael Jordan fan. There's been one. But even Michael Jordan, you know, it wasn't just a bolt of lightning. It was a lot of work. And, you know, I think that you can improve your chances of getting that $1 million video by getting up and doing another video tomorrow. By going out getting that $1 million house deal, you can improve your chances by knocking on another door tomorrow.
Yeah. There you go. I like that.
That's it.
More videos. Okay. Class, we are out. Make sure you subscribe, share the content, like it, give us a thumbs up, and we will. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see you later this evening. Hopefully, I will have a guy that I just sold I wholesaled a subject to. So you're gonna see two strategies put together. I love real estate. You can put several strategies on one house. It's so amazing. We put it in a trust. We so wholesaled him the trust with financing and the house. It was so cool. So hopefully we'll get that later to you tonight. All right, my brother.
All right, bro. Love you, man.
Love you too. Talk to you in a minute. Peace.
Peace.
I can never remember how to stop this.